This is Bars at Work, where leadership and personal development meets hip hop.
Follow me, let's roll. Keep it going through these bars.
Follow me, let's roll. Real teams know they roll. Confront the elephants known to roam. Who's in your circle? Who's got the virtue? Who's on your team? And not to hurt you, that's real.
That's real.
That's real.
That's real. So we're getting a little bit more into now the individual parts within a team. So we understand the team as a whole is a collective working towards a common goal. But now you're drilling down into real teams that know their role and their role within, I guess, as a team, their unified role within the organization or the department, and then their individual roles within the team. And what is the distinction there? So I think in this next part here, so this is really good. Confront the elephants known to roam. Yeah. So you know your role, and then confront the elephants known to roam. What I immediately started to think about was, well, who is responsible or accountable to confront the elephant in the room? Is that the weight of leadership? Is that the weight and responsibility of leadership? And or is that a function of the individuals in the team? And maybe it depends on the culture and the dynamic there.
Yeah. Such a great question. I think again, it goes back to it's a both and. There's a huge part of healthy teams having leaders or managers, let's say, depending on how, the structure team, doesn't matter the size, but levels of leadership, taking the accountability to say, one of my responsibilities is to actually monitor, observe, and intervene in the team health and the process of how the team is working. A lot of times managers and leaders are all about, are we getting the job done? Are we getting the job done? Are we getting the job done? But they're not asking themselves, how are we getting the job done as a team, and observing that. So elephant observation and seeing the elephants in the room that we're not confronting, those tough questions that no one wants to confront, that strategic question of like, hey, are we focused on the right clients here? We don't want to confront that. Or, hey, we're not giving feedback to each other enough because there's an elephant in the room here that I need to address. And that's, I need a little bit more of this from you or this from this department. Leaders and managers play a key role in helping elevate those types of conversations. But I also think that you can create a culture and a process where like people can, the team members can actually get involved in that. It becomes a habit. It becomes more of part of how people live and breathe.
Okay. So let's get a little bit more deep on this, because there's a real component to the fact of what we're talking about leaders doing and teams doing is hard work.
It's hard work.
And sometimes the work that we do is hard enough. The mental fortitude that we have in some of the roles that we have in the marketplace is just a lot to deal with. So for me to look the other way in a situation where I should probably address it, but I'm getting my work done. Yeah, the person's getting their work done, but I'm seeing this dynamic. That's such a common thing, because people will wait. And a lot of times they'll do is like, oh, you just automatically think HR. If this is not an HR issue, we'll just deal with it. So a lot of things can be addressed early on if it's things of conflict, personality, and if the managers and leaders and people in the team would just address it. But I think we have this extreme to say, well, let's just keep going. I'll just overlook that. And then things kind of come to a boiling point.
Yeah, it's really important. It is okay to do this frequently. That's where healthy teams, they have periodic, not quarterly, not 2 times a year at an offsite, but it's weekly, sometimes daily check-in of how are we doing? What hurdles are we going, need to jump over? Any feedback that needs to be given, and you create that muscle in the team. It's just important. And the idea of real teams know their role. Yes, the team needs to know their role in the bigger picture, but each individual needs to understand their role and play that role. And without that clarity, teams start to fall apart. Without confronting things, people start to fall apart. And then the virtue piece, it's key. You got to know who's in your circle.
Yeah, who's in your circle, who's got the virtue, who's on your team and not to hurt you. So there's a lot of players on the team. That means there's a lot of personalities on the team. There are varying strengths and weaknesses that people may or may not know they have. They may think they're operating in a strength when it's really a weakness, and vice versa. So you have all of these dynamics. So we're by no means saying that this is easy, that people just need to step up and do this stuff. We're really bringing out the complexities and food for thought for people to consider knowing each other. And how do you get to know each other and dwell so that you can achieve a common goal?
Yeah, totally. And one thing that, people have to understand, when you enter a team or you're part of a team, everyone's coming in with a level of anxiety. Do I fit? Will I be leveraged in this group? Can I trust people? Right. Do they see me as who I am? We get back into these inclusion topics, but there's a level of anxiety that we all enter into teams. And so this idea of creating that circle of trust, it takes risk and vulnerability to create that virtuous cycle of trust. And are you willing to go there as a team? So these are all parts of a healthy team. You start to avoid one of these elements: role clarity, confronting elephants, creating trust. You'll find out the symptoms of that later on.